class. I hope you're all well. In this lecture, we shall be discussing about PHP as in one of the programming languages we are going to work with besides HTML. So I want you to be so attentive so that we get to know this language all through the series we are going to be having. By series I mean different topics that we are going to be discussing about. So let's get to understand what PHP is and what it can basically do. In your mind, I want you to know that PHP is a server-side scripting language that is embedded in HTML. So you all know how HTML looks like. HTML is executed within the browser, whereas PHP is not. It is executed from the server, and then the results are displayed in the browser as HTML plain text. So PHP is used to manage dynamic content, databases, session tracking, even build entire sites. You can build the entire e-commerce websites with PHP. An example of an e-commerce website with PHP is, according to Uganda, we have Jumia. So Jumia is an example of an e-commerce website, whereas we also have Amazon, we have Alibaba.com, and so many other websites that are e-commerce. So PHP is integrated with a number of popular databases, including MySQL. That will be the one we shall be using in this series. PostgreSQL, Oracle, CBase, Infomix, and the Microsoft SQL Server. So all those are databases that we integrate with PHP, and then we can use it to execute PHP. Now, PHP itself stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. We would say, why not personal homepage or anything else? So it's the hypertext preprocessor. In the first time PHP was invented, it was called personal homepage, but then later on it was changed to hypertext preprocessor. Now PHP is an interpreted language, i.e. I would say there is no need for compilation as you see in other programs like C, whereby you need a compiler to run the object code or the final code to be displayed. So PHP is an interpreted language, so there is no need for compilation. So PHP is a server-sided scripting language. You would know about server-sided scripting language. I explained that when we are starting, that PHP runs from is executed from the server, and then the results are displayed in the browser as plain HTML text. So Well, PHP is is faster than other scripting languages. For example, ASP, that is active side server programming, and then it is also faster than a language called JSP. PHP files can contain text, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code. So it's not necessary that PHP code can be typed plain, as in pure PHP, but we can integrate in other languages. It can contain other files from HTML and other codes from CSS. We integrate them in. So PHP code are executed on the server, and the result is returned to the browser as plain text. I already told you that, so you've got to understand that. Then PHP files have an extension of .php. You know, as we are saving other files like for HTML, we are saving it as let me check this one, as .html. Whereas here with PHP, as we are saving these PHP files, we must save them as .php. You shouldn't forget that rule. Okay, we shall see that in the practical. Let me save it here. And another thing you must know about PHP content is that, I mean, all statements with PHP have to end with a semicolon. So for the semicolon, you know it, which was not the case with HTML, as we looked at its series. So let's look at the uses of PHP. One of the uses of PHP is that it can create dynamic page content. You know, like different people can log in and different results can be displayed according to the information the user provides. So that information, when it is keeping on changing, that's what we call dynamic page content. So PHP can create, open, read, write, delete, and close files on the server. So expect that PHP can also collect form data, like we learned how to use forms in PHP, but then, I mean in HTML, but how do we pick the data the user has provided and submit it somewhere? So PHP is the one that calls that data from the form, and then we can save it in the database or use it to do different things. So PHP can send and receive cookies, which is okay. PHP can add, delete, modify data in your database. Of course, like on Facebook, you can update those records, maybe your email, your contact name. You can even delete them away. So PHP can be used to control user access. Of course, if a user is, of course, we use PHP to validate the forms. When someone provides with the long login credentials, we can block them from accessing the server. Or when they provide correct results, we can still provide access with them, I mean to them, basing on whether the results are provided to the server are really correct. So many things can be, many other things can be done by PHP. So if you're considering to learn PHP, it's very good to consider. I mean, if you're considering to learn programming, more especially for web-driven applications, and maybe some apps development, it's very important that you consider learning PHP properly. And we can give you more other uses of PHP so that you can get to know what we are talking about. So PHP can encrypt the data, as we shall see. With PHP, you are not limited to output HTML. You can output images, PDF files, and even Flash movies. You can also output any text, such as XHTML and XML text. So what are the benefits of PHP? First of all, PHP runs on various platforms. It runs on Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, OS, X, etc. So it's very important that when you're choosing a programming language to run, it should be able to run on cross platforms, like I've mentioned before. So PHP is compatible with almost all servers used today, like Apache, HS, etc. PHP supports a wide range of databases, like we mentioned above. We had MySQL, Oracle, and so forth. So PHP is free, but you're not going to buy most of these servers where PHP is executed, and also the codes or the functions are available for use freely. PHP is easy to learn and runs efficiently on the server side. So let's look at how you can set up the PHP environment so that you can start running PHP. First of all, you've got to install PHP itself. So you need to install AMP, that's Apache, MySQL, and PHP itself, software. Now, that software is, for my case here, I have one server. That software is available for all operating systems, be it Mac, Unix, Linux, Windows. It's available depending on the platform you're using. Therefore, there are many AMP options available on the market. AMP, I said Apache, and Apache, MySQL, and PHP. That's what I mean by AMP. So there are many AMPs available for use on the market, and we can list some of them for you. We have WAMP, that is for Windows, LAMP for Linux, MAMP for Mac, XAMPP, that one I will have cross, Apache, MySQL, PHP, Perl, those ones for cross platforms. That means they can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac operating systems. So that's a brief introduction to PHP. In the next class, we shall look at the syntax for PHP. How do we write PHP, and how do we output text in PHP? How do we write comments in PHP, and so forth. So let's meet in the in the next lecture. Why would I say the previous lecture? Let's meet in the next lecture, and then we have a look at how we can work with PHP from beginner to experts, so that we can accomplish big projects together. See you then.